This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some important updates to share with you. Inflation relief checks are coming to 4 states, and $500 monthly checks are starting to go out this month. President Biden visits the border and beyond the border in Mexico. I'll let you know the impact of that and the infighting that happened last week in the Republican Party that could have just been the start, according to one Republican representative that we'll hear from, saying that there could be more of that to come. And I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a more than mundane Monday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 checks to my subscribers, and I'll tell you more details about how you can potentially win that later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. Let's get started here. Inflation relief checks coming to these western states. So we all know California is giving out their last round of stimulus checks between $200 and $1,050 this January. So after that, looks like there may not, or actually, sorry, no, 2 groups are expected to receive payments before February 14th, 2023. So, but the last payments should be sending out January 14th, 2023. So, yeah, January 14th looks like next week will be the last round of payments sent, but there could be 2 groups getting it in February. Colorado giving out $750 to single filers and $1,500 to joint filers. This is if you handed in your 2021 tax returns. So you could still be eligible as long as you hand those in before January 31st of 2023, this month, so end of the month, to get those $750 to $1,500 checks. And then Idaho. So to be eligible for that, you have to hand in your 2020 to 2021 tax returns. Actually, you should have handed it in by December 31st, and those are going out this year, either 10% of your 2020 income or $300 if filing individually and $600 if filing jointly. And then New Mexico. So the deadline for that is May 31st of 2023, and then the payments will be up to $1,000 for joint filers, $500 for individual filers. So there's still some tax rebates and inflation relief checks and sort of stimulus checks going out, but they're starting to teeter off. Speaking of different types of payments, Americans to start receiving $500 monthly direct payments within weeks. See when you'll get yours. So this is going on in Alexandria, Virginia, which is going out this month. For January, universal basic income payments, $500 per month for 2 years. So that's going on in Alexandria, Virginia. And then moving on to President Biden. So Texas Governor Abbott greets Biden with scathing letter as President Biden visits border, emboldened by cartels. So President Biden went to the border, and this is what Governor Greg Abbott of Texas said and did. So hand-delivered a letter to President Biden today during his first visit to the border. Whoops. His trip is $20 billion too little and 2 years too late. I'm calling on Biden to do his constitutional duty to protect our nation. So this is the letter right here. If you wanted to see it, it's basically telling President Biden he needs to do more. Basically breaks it down into 5 different things. But haven't really spoken about the border much on this channel. What do you think about that? Would you like to hear more about that? What do you think about the border situation now? Could it be better? Could it be improved? Or is it good the way it is? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. And then Biden also goes to Mexico. Oops, 1 second. Let me just get that back. All right. So Biden's Mexico visit, a change in strategy or more of the same? So President Biden went to the border and is now meeting with the Mexican president. So to put an end to unprecedented human trafficking event that has persisted over the last 2 years, President Biden must have a tough conversation with President AMLO that establishes clear deliverables and concrete benchmarks each country is responsible for. So President Biden meeting with President of Mexico. We'll see what comes out of that and what they're publicly telling us, because who knows what private conversations and public conversations could be a little different there. And then when it comes to McCarthy opponent, so Chip Roy here in this picture said a little temporary conflict is necessary in this town, Basically, he was one of the holdouts for the GOP House of Representatives in voting in Kevin McCarthy. He did not want Kevin McCarthy to become Speaker for a few different reasons. One of the things he says here is, I don't think anybody on either side of the aisle could say with a straight face that they think that Washington is doing good work for the American people on a regular basis and isn't broken. We have to work to fix this place. One of the few Congress members to actually admit that that Washington is broken and not doing good work for the American people. So you rarely hear that from Congress members. Just a handful will say that, things need, well, a lot of them say things need to change, but basically saying they're not doing good for the American people. Well, what can be done for the American people? Take a look at more of what Chip Roy has to say here.
McCarthy required the better part of a week to grind down the conservative opposition to his speaker bid and the way things have been done in the House for decades. One of the holdouts, Republican Congressman Chip Roy of Texas, was instrumental in delivering him the gavel. Roy negotiated a laundry list of concessions from McCarthy designed to spread power among the House rank and file, and particularly the House Freedom Caucus. And Roy's deal ultimately flipped up to 15 votes for McCarthy, paving the way for his victory Friday night. Joining me now for his first interview after the Speaker election is Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy. First of all, congratulations on everything that happened and getting what you wanted in the negotiations. It's not necessarily a sure thing that happens. We are just learning some of the promises McCarthy made, capping spending at 2022 levels for fiscal year 2024, a subcommittee to investigate the Justice Department, more Freedom Caucus representation on important committees like the Rules Committee, a one-member threshold for a motion to vacate, which is what it used to be before 2019. What other commitments did McCarthy make that you can tell us about?
Well, first of all, let's remember that a little temporary conflict is necessary in this town in order to stop this town from rolling over the American people. I don't think anybody on either side of the aisle could say with a straight face that they think that Washington is doing good work for the American people on a regular basis and isn't broken. We have to work to fix this place. And look, some of the tensions you saw on display when we saw some of the the interactions there between Mike Rogers and Matt Gaetz, some of that is, we need a little of that. We need a little of this sort of breaking the glass in order to get us to the table, in order to fight for the American people and to change the way this place is dysfunctional. So this all started going back last summer. We wanted rules to open this place up. We wanted more transparency, wanted more openness, more ability to add amendments to the floor. So for example, you ask, what else did we get? We got amendments to be able to, we got the ability to offer amendments on the floor of the House during appropriations that will open it up again. We haven't done that. So since I've been in Congress, I've not been able to offer an amendment on the floor. Mm-hmm. There hasn't been an amendment offered in open debate since May of 2016.
Is it a free-for-all, like anyone can offer an amendment?
Absolutely, within appropriations. We will also be striving for more open rules. We put more conservatives, some Freedom Caucus members, and we're still working through who those will be on the Rules Committee, the powerful Rules Committee, which is the funnel by which legislation gets to the floor of the House. But importantly, we were trying to stand up for rank and file members because too often, and we saw this in December, too often bills are cooked up with a handful of people. They're brought through to the Rules Committee, jammed through, put on the floor, and you have to vote yes or no. The American people are tired of that. We need to be able to see some of the stuff we got to see this week. You and I were talking ahead of time. Cameras, because C-SPAN control the cameras.
Are you in favor of that? Because I love these C-SPAN cameras.
I think drawing the American people into the conversations, the debate on the floor, I mean, if you're going to have cameras there, well, let's look at the action. Let's see.
So you're in favor of transparency. C-SPAN gets to control it.
Well, let me go look into the ins and outs of all of that, but I think it is what the American people were able to see unfold on the floor was a good thing for our democracy and our republic, right? It was a good thing for people to be able to see the inner workings. And this isn't just a shirts and skins, red and blue, two-team thing. This is history because this hasn't happened in the last 100 years. But understand why that's so. Two-party entrenchment has made it to where we don't have a good back and forth to sit at the table and try to accomplish things.
So I'm all in favor of transparency. I'm a journalist. I want everything out. So I hope you'll look into the C-SPAN thing because I think that really does show the American people. I don't think it's a bad thing to show Democrats and Republicans, tough negotiations, et cetera. In the name of transparency, will you or the Speaker put out a list of the concessions of these changes? Because they're not all, as you know, they're not all reflected in the rules that are going to come up for a vote this week?
Sure. I mean, and again, part of this is all sensitive, right? As you're kind of going through it and kind of holding everybody together. We got to get through the rules on Monday, and we're going through the steering process of getting folks on committees. But for example, when we say we want it, and Jake, we put out a list in December 8th, saying, hey, here's what we think we need to transform this place. Here's what we need to see in any speaker. And so we've been out and open about that. But I want to make clear, this isn't about trying to, Chip Roy wants a spot on a committee. I haven't been promised anything, literally. I've got nothing out of this deal for me personally. Does that mean I might end up on Rules Committee? Maybe, if that's what my colleagues want. We still have to go through that process. But what we have extracted are promises from the Speaker to make sure that we have ideological diversity and representation among these committees. Appropriations, there are 2 Freedom Caucus members out of 33 that are likely to be in the majority. So think about that. The HFC is 20% of the body, yet 2 of 33 appropriators. The Rules Committee, it's always a struggle to get anybody on there who's going to push back in the Rules Committee about, wait, why are we jamming a bill through that nobody's read?
Right.
So let's get representation on these committees. And it's not about petty personal desires. I don't want to be on the Rules Committee. I don't want to leave my family on Sunday night and miss my kids to come up here. But I might do it if that's what my colleagues decide.
So let me ask you a question about whether or not the, whatever you want to call it, the chaos, the back and forth, whether or not this is going to mark what the Congress is going to look like going forward over the next 2 years. McCarthy promised, one of the promises was not to raise the debt ceiling without some accompanying spending cuts.
Correct.
Congress had a similar showdown trying to force spending cuts in 2011.
Yep.
It led to America's credit rating getting downgraded because they weren't able to arrive at a deal. The markets felt the U.S. government had become, according to the downgrading, quote, less stable, less effective, less predictable. And that had a real tangible detrimental effect on the American people and their pocketbooks, their retirement savings. What's the plan to make sure that doesn't happen again? That the chaos we saw this week, or whatever you want to call it, doesn't become just what happens every time, especially when we're talking about major must-pass legislation like raising the debt ceiling, which is just about paying the bills for what has already been paid.
Well, the fastest way to guarantee that we have debt rating problems is to keep spending money we don't have and keep piling up debt, and that's what we're doing. The Uniparty in Washington, Republicans and Democrats, the power brokers, which, by the way, were reflected by Mike Rogers when he goes in and he's pushing back on the
He says, I will finish you,
right.
He said.
So why is that? Because when you push back on the swamp's going to push right back. We saw that in display. That's okay. So you say, well, are we going to have this kind of conflict going forward? I hope so, but we started this now. It's January. So the debt ceiling, or the debate is going to be in a few months. Let's do it now, guys. Let's get this out there. Both sides of the aisle, everybody within each party, let's figure out how we're going to actually fix this, because the American people are sick of us not doing our job.
What are your thoughts there? He kind of plays it a little straight there. It's pretty straightforward in what needs to be done and what should be done and what hasn't been done. Let me know your thoughts on whether you agree with Chip Roy or not. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you one thing that you should do. When you want to do something, you have the power to do whatever you want. Unless, one thing, you believe in yourself. That's the only trick. So that's all I wanted to tell you for today. Bye. This is the Bella.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. And to show my appreciation for your support, I'm giving out $200 checks to my subscribers. Again, done this many times in the past. Actually, for the past 2 years, been doing this. So yeah, I'm giving out those checks. It's just a paper check, no gift card, nothing like that. You could use it for whatever you want. Use it for groceries, utilities, rent, whatever. So how do you win the $200 check? So I have details down in the description below if you want to just read that, but just a quick synopsis. You have to be subscribed to this channel you're watching right now, Wise Flies, plus my other channel, Wise Pickleball, and then a third channel, which is actually my friend's channel, so I'm giving him a little shout out, giving him a little boost. He just started it. He's doing reviews on massage chairs. So I have the links to those two channels down below that you have to be subscribed to. I will verify whether or not you're subscribed to that. And then the third thing is you just have to be, you have to put a comment down in this video that you're watching right now, only this video, of what you are hopeful for. So it's a new year. year, and we have a lot to look forward to, hopefully. You know, I know we have some grim news and stuff, but just write what you are hopeful for down in the comments below, and I will pick the winners at random. And yeah, so hopefully you get to win this time around. And yeah, thanks again for all of your support. Details down in the description below if you want to read exactly what I was saying, if I kind of rambled on a bit there. But anyways, thanks again for all the support that you've given me. I wouldn't be anywhere I am today if it wasn't for you, so really appreciate you showing up and hanging out with me on a daily basis and sticking with me as, you know, had some health issues and personal issues with my ankle. I am starting to walk now with a boot, which is pretty cool. So I'm hoping in a week I could take the boot off and walk on my own. So yeah, really excited about that. Anyways, if you want to check out any of the videos that are linked down in the description below of the ones that you have to subscribe to, you could click right up here. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.